So there's a case in the appeals courts in Australia for $1.2 million in damages for bullying by farting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that one. Yeah, so a guy was in. Apparently, he worked in a room with no windows. They worked in an office with no windows,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that he worked in there with would every day stand behind him and thrust his butt at him while he farted 5 or 6 times a day.
Does he have proof?
Ridiculous.
Does he have proof?
It's true. How do you prove that?
Yeah, it's not something you can prove unless you have corroboration from other people.
Or some kind of video or something, yeah.
Right, some kind of video, but I mean, that could have been sound effects too. You don't know.
Right?
Come on,
and it would have to be like infrared, right? It would have to. You'd have to be able to see the puff come out of the butt, Exactly. That's a hard case to prove,
I mean, well, I don't know though. But you know how like certain things, like if you smoke something smells like that, right? If there's that much farting, like where he's suing for 1.2 million for being bullied because of the farts, right? They're that bad, right? Don't you think there would be like a smell in the room, like it'd be like stained in the rugs?
Mm.
Yeah, it could be. What kind of a beta male would you have to be to, be threatened by farting?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would depend because like Andre the Giant was famous for farting. He loved farting, and it was like a fucking roar, right?
Yeah.
So what if this dude is like a fucking big dude, right? And it's an intimidating fart 5 or 6 times a day, like it's like fucking God cold.
That's a good point. What if this guy's gigantic and you don't want to mess with him?
Fucking rolling thunder in your ear every 15 minutes,
and it could kill you. I mean, his farts will kill a small dog.
Right. And maybe this guy's like 4'10", and he wants to, but he just can't fuck with anybody,
There's a hobbit.
You see, this is one of the things that I'm learning, that it's a multiverse. You have your universe that's solid, that we don't really know what it is, but gravity is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of us, we live in a multiverse. It's only the universe as we see it, right? And you look at things that you can make fun of, like what the fuck, they're really suing for farting at people. But then when you reason through it, you can see where somebody might be coming from, where it makes all the sense of the world.
Right.
I guess how is there not a way to remedy it somehow? Whether it's through just standing up for yourself or fucking going and telling your boss,
he did. Well, he did, and they fired him for it, and that's why he's suing.
Oh, and the one, because first off, too, the other thing that blew my mind when you first said it was like, how did you come up with 1.2 million equals fart bullying?
Well, how did you come up with that number? Right.
Yeah.
What is that number? Where does that come from?
Yeah. So I guess it's got to be, because I mean, he's not making like 1.2 in lost wages.
Right.
Is that like a percent? It's like a percent per fart. Like he gets $1 every time he makes an ass. Just
80,000 a fart or something. Yeah. Before he had enough.
And then there's of course the mental damage.
Well, I don't know, 1.2 million. If that was based on per fart basis,
that's a lot of farts.
What if it was only $10 a fart?
Oh man, forget it.
I mean, if that's the case, then we might have a case, though.
No, but then if it's that low a number, if it's that low of an amount, then there had to have been a breaking point before that, right?
Well, we don't know where it got to the point where he finds
right.
it now.
Well, that's the thing. If it's a per fart thing, and if it's that low a wage, then there had to have been a point where he snaps way before that point. In which case, it's like, well, why'd you let it get to that amount? So if you let it get to that high an amount, then it's obvious that you were trying to take somebody for a ride. So it's got to be it's got to be a high wage fart.
That's
these parts need to be making minimum wage at least.
Right.
That is a good point. Well made. No, because if he sat there for that many farts, I mean, they had to figure he must like it.
Yeah. He must have liked it enough to say, this is a money-making opportunity.
Right. He that right. Then or he didn't get the fart his way. Like he asked for spicy that day and he didn't have jalapeno. He had something like fucking with cheese. It was the wrong kind of fucking spice.
Exactly.
Right. He didn't get the fucking scent that he wanted.
Right. And maybe it's not directly facing him, maybe somewhere indirect. So, maybe there's a price for it being a little bit off angle, So
now it's all of a sudden it's like roulette. Like you're betting thirds on the fart,
right.
Connecting numbers and shit. You're like when you put it on the cross, like on the card thing,
right.
you catch all 4 numbers.
Right.
Look, at the end of the day, if he's thrusting his ass in his general direction 5 or 6 times a day, every day, after a while, it is like roulette. It's like Russian roulette. Because one day he might gamble and he might lose, and that thrust might launch a projectile.
Oh, forget it. Yeah. Forget it.
Oh, it would have been like 2.7 million then.
Right.
Some people just want to shit all over everything. Horrible.
This is taking it back to the shit routes, right? So your line there from by Batman, like some people just want to watch the world burn and shit, made me think of the fucking what was that story that we did where they had all the shit thrown down the mine shafts?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, man. The fucking we
down
did
south
that
somewhere, right?
It was Alabama, New York, New York City shipping its shit to Alabama and throwing it down mine shafts. Like one day, somebody's like around here, right? They have parks. They throw the fucking garbage dumps. They, the fucking the grass grows on it, and they turn it into some fucking park.
Sure.
You probably can't live on it though. They probably can't put buildings on there because environmental hazards just digging into that shit, right? But they put parks for little kids to run around in.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
The grass kills this though.
What the fuck? But those mine shafts, right? So eventually that shit's gonna be fucking grown over. But there's gonna be gas building up inside of there. And people are gonna forget what's there. And one day that mountain's gonna explode. Somebody's gonna do something without, like, they're gonna drill into it or something, looking for some shit, and
hit
not
like a
realize
rock, create a spark.
Right. There's a pocket of shit gas in there. Let's go just fucking boom.
There's probably a tree somewhere that has just fucking noxious gases growing up through its fucking branches, and it's just waiting to turn into a fucking volcano of flaming shit.
That'd be horrible.
Wow.
Like something out of a fucking Zelda game, but like with shit.
It's either that or with all that fertilizer, that mountain will be like the best field of growing.
Oh, right now it's amazing. Their crops
It'll be the most fertile ground in the fucking world.
Although our shit, I don't know. I don't know how good New York shit makes for fertilizer.
Come on, we're full of it.
Yeah. Well, no, fine with the shit, but that's fucking like we talked about it. When we talked. It's not just fucking like poop. That's just gonna ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? Poop to dirt, right? It's all that fucking blue liquid and toilet paper and shit from those porta potties and all that shit.
Right.
That probably doesn't even go to a center. The porta potty just goes straight to Alabama. They dump the porta potty, rinse it off with a hose, and then send it back to New York clean.
What's funny about that? There's a smell, right? There's a smell that if you live in New York, where like they have the fucking corner stores with the fruit, and there are mornings when they pick up the garbage, and there's that fucking smell, right?
That liquid that would come out.
That liquid rot smell.
Yeah,
it's the same smell. Everybody knows the smell. It's the same smell in every fucking corner of the city. That it's that smell. I don't know. It's amazing to me that everybody knows that smell, and whatever that smell is makes you want to vomit instantaneously.
Yeah, it's like this mix of like when shit sits around too long and there's kind of like a stank, right? So, and that stank alone is not bad. It kind of smells. You get it in the nostrils, but you open a window, you take out the trash, it's kind of gone, right? But it's that stank with like rotten milk, rotten egg, and like diarrhea
Yeah, it's like hot
smushed
diarrhea,
into
hot
that
sick,
stank.
that hot sick smell.
And it's like you remember in the cartoons when someone would put like a pie on the windowsill, like the old lady that you never saw her face, she put down a pie on the windowsill and the smell would draw, like whether it was like Tom and Jerry or whatever, fucking Looney Tunes or something, and you could see the smell in the air and it grabbed them by the nose and drew them in. That's what this like stank gas that just drips out of the garbage trucks does. It like
Yes.
It
drips out of the garbage truck. That
rapes
smell
your
dripping out of the garbage truck.
nostrils with
That's
this,
what
like,
it is.
It's like palpable.
Yeah,
It's like you can literally feel the droplets of moisture of noxious gas like clinging to the hairs on the inside of your nose, and you're like, oh my god, it's in me. You know,
and you feel like throwing up.
Yeah.
You're gonna throw up right away. Like I almost just did it because I was reminded of the smell, and I almost threw up on my floor right now. That's how nasty that smell.
My wife is like that. If you start talking about stuff or you start talking about throwing up,
yeah,
she gets this urge to throw up.
And that stuff is so toxic too. It's so toxic and so harmful that even just smelling it, you know it's inside you, because the very fact that you smelled it means that it's actually in your system.
Yeah.
So
in a long way to get around to back to where we were going with this, because I almost forgot. I was almost lost in where we went in the tangent.
Oh, that hallway was long.
Somewhere out there is this guy who shovels that shit into the garbage bin out of the truck, and he's fine with that. That shit don't bother him. That smell is normal. That shit is okay.
Daggone lost my sense of smell back in 4 to 5.
Like I had a roommate in college who was so disgusting. The room smelled so bad that, like, when I first came home to New York after, I like when a bum shit all over himself in the subway, I would fucking leave it there. You know, I'd be fine. I could stand like a few feet away from it, where everybody else was running off the car. I could stay there. It was okay, you know. But there's a guy that could shovel all that nasty shit out of there. He's happy as a pig in shit.
Yeah, literally.
Now he is like the opposite. He's like if this was a superhero universe, he would be the counterbalance to the guy who's huge and farts like fucking like Andre the Giant dude's ears, where they sue for 1.2 million.
Right. Yep. Right.
Tell me how there's not it's like Mr. Glass. If there's a fucking guy who could fucking shovel the shit out of there and be perfectly fine, then somewhere there has to be the opposite, the guy who can kill you with his smell, with his fart.
The irresistible force versus the immovable object. Absolutely. That is absolutely it.
Like some toxic Avenger villains or something.
And with that, welcome to the garage.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
It is March 27th. I'm with Thaddeus and Walt tonight. How do you like that? I like to just fucking go into it and say, hey, I'm with Thaddeus and Walt tonight.
Yeah. Hey, take a strong whiff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and speaking of the homeless people and going on the train with where people should have lowered themselves, there's a cop in San Antonio who was fired for giving a homeless guy a dog shit sandwich. He gave a homeless guy a shit sandwich. So they fucking fired him as a cop.
Now don't give. I'm laughing, but come on.
So he
as
sued.
a cop, you know you can't do that.
Well, he sued and he won. He sued the city and he won for lack of evidence.
Oh, okay. Because the guy ate it.
I guess he ate it. Fuck.
I mean, if he was hungry.
But he still didn't get his job back, though. He was, he didn't get his job back. So he sued because apparently they couldn't prove that he gave a homeless guy shit sandwiches. But he was suspended indefinitely before that, though, because he had already left shit all over a ladies' room bathroom. He shit all over a ladies' room bathroom.
Oh, he's a shit offender.
And bragged about it. Yeah, so.
Oh, God. What's fucking wrong with this dude?
It's amazing to me how some people get jobs, though. Like, I am never allowed to apply for any position in the Las Vegas Police Department ever again, civilian or otherwise. I got a letter.
Why am I not surprised?
We're wanted men. I have the death sentence in 7 systems.
You know what's funny about that is that what's funny about that is that I found out about the cop test for Vegas, like 4 days before they had it in New York, right? So I just showed up all fat and out of shape and disgusting. I wasn't fucking working out or anything, you know? And like I showed up getting banged out every day. And I took the written and I took the psych test and I took the physical. And I was number 36 out of 3,600 people. That's how I scored on the test.
Nice.
Being a fat, lazy fucking just basically rolling in a bed and say, hey, okay, I'll be a cop. Yeah. You know, and so I was number 36 out of 3,600. And then in the background check somewhere, I don't know, something went wrong. So they sent me a letter. They sent me a letter. I had it somewhere. I don't know. I wish I still had that. I had it framed for a while. That said you are no longer allowed to apply for any positions within the Las Vegas Police Department.
Oh,
Definitely.
shit.
Yeah, crazy shit.
I don't know what happened. They looked into my shit, and I don't know. There's some shit.
Now, I can't be a cop, but this motherfucker right here putting fucking smearing shit all over fucking ladies' room walls and giving fucking dude shit sandwiches to eat. He gets a job.
The one bright side though is obviously he learned, right? You can't leave the evidence smeared all over the wall, right? You got to give it to them, you know, more discreetly.
How do they take fingerprints? How do they take fingerprints out of the shit on the wall?
I don't want to know.
I'm like, how do they collect that evidence? Like, what are they examining for?
Yeah, I don't know. But didn't you say he was like bragging about it too?
Well, he was bragging about it. That would kind of
get caught that way.
Yeah, I don't know
they
why
called
you would
fucking like CSI Special Victims Unit.
So like here's the deal, right? So here's the deal. Like I can't ever apply again for a cop job, but fucking this dude
shit sandwich
who smeared shit all over the place was so proud of this that he was bragging about it. They were like, yo, guys, yo, you'll never guess what I fucking did. Yo, check this shit out. This is so awesome. You got to know about it.
Guess whose bathroom I smeared shit all over?
Did you use your hands? You used your hands, didn't you?
Yeah. What am
Was it your shit? Was it your shit? No,
I ain't touching nobody else's shit.
Well, it was my shit, and it was his too.
Well, he helped. I didn't have enough. I was trying to make a mural.
Fucking horrible.
But brags about
and
it.
Somehow, like, how did he pass the psych test?
Obviously, one of the questions is not, would you ever feed someone a shit sandwich? Like, had they asked that question, I'm sure maybe now it's on the test. But had they asked that question, he would have answered yes, and they would have been like, "Oh, okay."
Now that's standard. That's a standard question on the test. Have you now or ever before fed anyone a shit sandwich, deep fried or otherwise?
I mean, look, we all laugh at like, what was that movie with fucking Green Lantern? Awaiting, right? You guys seen that movie?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they talk about all the crazy shit that they do and fucking putting shit in people's food or whatever. One of the podcasts I listen to.
That movie scares me, by the way.
Yeah.
For that reason, yeah, because you know it's true.
True story.
What the fuck was? Oh, the goat, right?
The goat. The goat.
The guy
show again.
Trying to hold it, sweating, waiting for somebody to come to the door. And like I was saying, one of the podcasts I listened to early on, Keith and the Girl, the dude Keith Malley, he was like in like serving, right? And when people would piss him off, he would he talked about like the shit that he would do to fucking things, and he tried putting like pieces of his own shit like in there, like milkshakes or something. He's like, the shit always comes through or whatever, the smell, right? So he somehow he learned if you put it in the freezer, it like dampens the smell. and then you take your little frozen shit nugget and you throw it in their ice cream or whatever. And it's like you listen to these stories and you laugh, and it's like, and it's disgruntled, you know, like people in like shit jobs. This dude was a fucking cop, and he fed a homeless guy a sandwich smeared with just shit.
I have to say though, yo, I have to stop you for a second.
You
tell stories about fucking discovering that getting shit cold takes the smell away, right? And like I'm struck by two questions. The first thing is like it's two thoughts really. The first is like why did you even think about that? Why did it even become something that you even tried to do? Like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know? And on the other hand, I'm thinking, wow, he might be a goddamn genius.
What kind of a fucked up individual needs to think about how to prepare their shit to put it in someone's food?
Like, how did you even start that journey?
But wait, he figured it out.
Fuck. Yeah, you're a fucking goddamn genius. But that's because I'm somebody who's mailed shit to someone's house. I understand.
Oh man. But yeah, this made me think of that too. And it's like we laugh at these things, but again, this is like, right? A cop is not, well, unless you're John or this guy, you don't just like wake up one morning and go, I want to be a cop today. Like it's a vocation, right? It's a labor of love or something like that, right?
No, I probably should have been a cop. I just look, the first NYPD test that I took was the very first one. You needed 60 college credits. If I had taken the test, it was literally a month before that, I would have been on the job for like, I'd be probably ready to retire from the force right now.
No.
So it just sometimes shit works. Sometimes, like, I probably would have been a good cop, but I also may have been one of those dick cops that get like fucking people hate.
You're a bad lieutenant or something.
Right. It could go either way. But some things steer you away. I believe in, like, if you want to believe in fate, you know, God, the will of the force, God's will, whatever the fuck you want to call that.
Yeah, sure.
The Tao. I believe that certain people are moved out of the way of certain things. And I think that, you know, military service and being a cop, I think I was like built to be somebody in that realm, and something didn't want that to happen. I don't know. What are you gonna do? I can never apply to be a cop in Las Vegas ever again, or a civilian worker.
But there's plenty of states out in the sea.
In England, people are stuffing dead rats with contraband, sewing them up, and tossing them over the walls into prison yards to get them in to get like drugs and fucking cell phones, shit like that to people.
The one thing that I was a little disappointed in was when I read the headline, and so I'm going into the article, and I was a little disappointed to find out that they were dead, and they were just, you know, shoving shit in like carcasses of rats. I thought maybe like they trained them. They got they got the fucking bunch of condoms and they're stuffing shit in and becoming mules, you know?
If you had trained rats, right? If you had rats and you could just tie them in little bags onto their back, like fucking pack mules, like burros on fucking in, you know, like taking coffee off the mountain. You know, like fucking, if you could train them to carry bags in through the cracks, you could get almost anything into the prison. Who's gonna stop a fucking rat?
Exactly. It'd be the fucking Pied Piper of fucking Alcatraz.
You'd be a goddamn genius.
Yeah.
But again, how did you learn that you could train a fucking rat like that?
Yeah. No, you gotta be a little fucked up to be a genius. I think this is what we're learning.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. There's something that's
a thin line. You have to be kind of a scumbag to some degree to reach your full potential,
or at least clinically insane.
That too.
Yeah, but the idea of you know, it's a pretty good idea even with that, sewing them up and tossing them over. The only reason why they got caught is because they found like a series of them. Like you can't keep doing it, man. You gotta like throw a rat over, wait a day or two, throw another rat over. You can't have a line of dead rats all with fucking sewing marks, you know? Like somebody got their fucking rat spayed and neutered, and then they just fucking ran away.
And all 7 of them died in the same spot.
Right. Oh, fuck. We shouldn't have put that rat poison out. You know, I mean,
Like, catch a bird every once in a while. Mix it up.
right.
And see,
I guess
these are the people that we learn throughout history are just fucked up. They don't become geniuses.
But this is it. Although psychology, everybody who ends up in prison already has a disposition to be that way. So you could basically pick out, psychology. They could basically pick out by the time the kid's like 8 years old, which one's going to end up in prison. If they really want to pay attention to their fucking behaviors.
Sad but true.
You know, maybe they should start doing that. Maybe they should have real doctors in the schools instead of picking out the crazy ones beforehand, like Minority Report. Yeah, that one's nuts. Isolate them. I was watching The Running Man the other day. Arnold,
Nice.
right? And besides the fact that Arnold, that movie has so many fucking one-liners. It's awesome. Like it's one of his best. That is like Arnold is the best, that movie.
Hey, but, Christmas tree.
I was thinking about this because I write and these things pop up here and there. And it always makes me think, you ever see the Ray Liotta movie No Escape, where he's like, it's kind of the same premise, that he's like a helicopter pilot, I think, but he gets sent to this island, sent to jail on this island, right? And it's a maximum security island where they airlift things and put it in, and one faction is like animals that kill everybody and take all the shit, and then the other side are people that are trying to be good and farm, and they have wars and shit like that.
Yeah.
If you were running a prison, or Escape New York is kind of the same thing. Escape from New York. They pull them all in Manhattan, they fucking bomb the bridges, and they're all stuck. All the fucking bad guys are stuck in New York. Can't get off the island. We'll kill you if you get off the island. If you had to run a prison system, if you had to run the prison systems, if you had your control of the fucking of society to just make these decisions, what would you go with? Would you go with like the Running Man, appease everybody to fucking, with the contests? Yeah, this guy's a murderer now, where he can go free if he can get through our warriors, like American Gladiator styles. Only, only they die.
Yeah, instead of like tennis balls, it's like spike balls.
Right. Would you do that, or would you do the island in the middle of nowhere where you fucking, oh no, there's no death penalty, but they're going to the island. What would you do? Would you do like Chronicles of Riddick, where they fucking put them in a fucking volcano? Basically, if they come out, they'll melt, so they're trapped in the mountain. Or maybe put them inside a mountain, like somewhere where it's freezing cold and they have no fucking clothing.
Am I the prisoner, or am I the warden in this scenario?
You're the warden. You're not just the warden. You are the government entity that decide that sets the prison up. They design the prison system. They design how they set it up and what security is going to be like and what the prisons are allowed to do and all that shit.
Is my goal to reform them, or is my goal strict entertainment? Just entertainment
I don't
purposes?
know. I wouldn't there be levels, because like I would think if it's like to me would be great is if you had the island where people where you just airlifted supplies in, right? But you had cameras all over the island, so it was like a reality TV show. It would be like fucking Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And some of these people would be savage, but you'd have to have different levels too.
Right?
Would these all be murderers? Would these be fucking all gangbangers? Would they be men and women? Would you have an all-male island and an all-women's island, or would you mix them?
Well, that's the thing, is like what you could do is, in that case, if it's for entertainment purposes, what you have to do is you have to have many game shows and start like a whole like channel or many channels, right? So you have variety, and so for people who are straight and narrow, they can watch their particular type of prisoner game show, right? So they have their, whatever their demographic is that they'll identify with. And then you have the drones flying, so that, people, the prisoners stay in line, and also they're being filmed. So you have that whole thing going on.
But I don't know. One of the shows that I would want, especially with with the murderers, like some like the people that can't be reformed, right? The dictators of the world, is that you don't control them. You don't have set them in the rules. You just let them do what they do and see what the natural fucking, like National Geographic. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. I mean, on the one hand, I can see like,
but I do like
yeah,
like low level offenders where they are in like different game shows.
Right.
Like the more serious the crime, the more fucking crazy the shit gets. But you have the different pools that you pull for your TV shows. I dig the idea of different game shows.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, and what you could do, the cool thing is that you want to play to these prisoners' strengths, right? So you have like the big, strong, muscle bound types, or the really tough guys who kind of like the UFC. You get them into a ring or you get them into a place where they have to fight it out. In order to get out of that particular scenario that they're in, they have to fight it out. But these other guys, these masterminds, the people that can manipulate these guys, you put them in a game show where it's more like Risk or like some type of apprentice type of thing, where they have to actually be, do the white collar crime, do the white collar, like, how do you get out of this scenario by being, by using your brain, right? So you have that survivor type of mentality where, they have to use their cunning, or their business savvy, or one guy has business savvy versus the guy who's, maybe a engineering genius or something like that. And okay, let's see who wins, So there's so many ways you could totally, and you could have a game show for each thing,
What if you had certain criminals like the Madoffs, but like the people who are going away for a long time, right?
Right.
Political fucking, political prisoners, stuff like that. And they were playing a chess game. Only the chess game they were playing was with actual prisoners, and they were like murderers. And it was like battle chess. Like, you move, I'm going to move this guy to this spot, and then another guy goes there and they have to fucking fight it out to the death right there.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or you just have to stand there and let the guy fucking shiv you because you're a pawn and you can't do anything else.
Right. You're a pawn, you fuck. Well, those are the little guys.
Mm-hmm.
The better your fighters, right? Like, I'm a big thing. And I wish Scotty was on
here. Like, the pawns could be like all the rapists and pedophiles.
I'm big on
Judd Queen. History of the world, by the way, if our audience is familiar.
I'm big on the idea of champions, right? There is like the Iliad, right? Homer and Achilles, right? The city-states all had their champion, and their champion could fight a one-on-one fight, so the armies didn't have to fight, and the champion could decide what the outcome was, right? And they were famous for that in like antiquity, right? I've always liked the idea of a champion. This city's champion fights that city's champion, and whoever fucking wins, well, you got to listen to them. They stay away, right? So, like, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah. I saw him struggling. I wanted to jump in, but then it looked like he had it, so I pulled back.
Right.
And then he just stole. It's like the car. It's like.
I did. I was back on track for a second, and then lost it.
I was gonna say we have champions, right? We have our representatives of our districts. Our champions, our government.
Yeah, no, I mean like people that actually do their job.
But yeah, and I think if we go further, even with like the game show aspect, right? So I think you kind of got to separate some of these things by male female.
But I remember where I was going.
Go for it.
All right. So like your king, right, is like your champion. Or your queen even is your champion. Maybe he's the guy who fucking gets raped the most, but is also a badass on the battlefield. I don't know. Yeah, the queen. Maybe it's the one that likes to wear dresses, but
sure.
But your champion though, your best fighters, because they fucking get into the most fights, are the ones that you know, that hold those high positions to be able to make those big moves.
Mm-hmm.
The pawns are the little shitty guys, like the pedophiles. You use pedophiles as pawns.
Yeah. Because
You
if
know,
they
and
die,
they get
you don't give a shit.
now if the pedophile fights off like the knight on the other fucking side,
Yeah.
and he fucking beats the knight. Well, guess what? The pedophile is kind of a badass. He could move up maybe in the next game. If you know, of course, he's still just a pawn, so he would basically have to get through all of their fucking champions.
Sure. And somehow not get killed.
Right. Which probably is going to happen.
Nope.
That's a pretty sick game. You guys are fucking sick.
So then what I would do is I would have smaller islands set up the same way, but take one from each of these other game show demographics and bring them all together and figure out how they coexist. So the big nasty murderers, the fucking rapists, the pedophiles, the Bernie Madoffs, the dude that just fucking got caught with a joint, like all these people now have to coexist, and it's like who turns into the alphas, who turns into the betas, who are the workers, who are the kings and queen bees, right? The dichotomy of that, you know, almost like a Survivor, right? Because at first it's like the murderer has to realize that he can't just kill everybody, because then what is he gonna do? Fucking just sit there and die himself? You know, you got to use these people, right? The white collar guys are trying to figure out their power plays, like how do I turn this guy against that guy so he eliminates my competition?
It's like Game of Thrones. It's like Game of Thrones, where you get to watch it all in real life.
Sure, yeah.
Or you could also have Hot Island, where you get all the hot ones, all the hot chick prisoners and the model looking dudes, and they run around fucking with no clothes, and people just tune in to watch people fuck all day.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, then you'll have hot people.
Prison, huh?
Then you'll have people committing low level crimes so they can get onto Hot Island and just like run around, you know.
Oops, just shot a guy in the foot. I guess I got to go to jail.
But you got to watch out, because every once in a while, right? Every once in a while, they'll sneak in one of the rapists from Rapist Island.
Like a good looking rapist,
right? And he rapes males, rapes everybody. He's been in prison for so long, you know. He rapes everybody.
You got to know who the mole is, right?
I was just gonna say, did you guys ever see that show?
Yep.
Cooper Anderson. They actually did a real person game show sort of thing with the mole. It was like Survivor meets Clue, right? It was kind of cool. And Cooper Anderson was like the host.
Anderson Cooper.
Like guy.
Anderson Cooper.
Rather. Anderson Cooper. Right. Yeah.
Did you guys see Vanderbilt? Yeah. Did you guys see Into the Spiderverse yet?
I did not. Did you?
No, but I heard good things about it, so I'm gonna watch it eventually. So
I bought it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. The art was something I've never seen before. They did CG. They CGI'd it, right, and then they drew over the CGI.
Really?
Awesome.
And I swear to God, it was like watching a comic book in motion. It was fucking crazy.
Nice.
I wish now that I had seen it in IMAX. Really, I wish I had seen it in IMAX, because that would have been fucking something insane. The story was good, really good. The kids are going to love Spider Ham, so it's at some point Spider Ham is probably going to have a lot of fucking toys and probably its own kid show.
Oh, sure.
I'm kind of glad, because I always thought the whole Spider Ham thing was kind of cute back when I was a kid. I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of cool that there was a spoof on Spider-Man, and it was a pig. It cracked me up as a kid. So I'm glad like Spider Ham's actually getting its due. You know,
it was Peter Porker, right?
Peter Porker, yeah.
It was all the ego.
Right.
The books that got me into comics when I was a kid, and I was younger than my daughter now, I was probably like 4, were Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew. And it was like, it was animals and shit that were making fun of whatever superheroes, but probably JLA. So yeah, I used to make my uncle take me to the comic store to get those things when I was a kid, and that was it. The hooks were in.
Oh,
So
God. That's fun.
like this. The Spider Hams resonate with me. One of my favorite books that when I was collecting all the time was Sleaze Brothers,
Mm.
and it was if you could picture the Blues Brothers, right, in Judge Dredd's world,
Okay.
right? Only they're like detectives, so they shoot people, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
It was a fucking cool book. So I'm into all that.
I wonder
those
where
weird,
you get your influence
things.
as a writer from.
What happened?
I said, I wonder where you get your influence as a writer from.
All kinds of yeah, but
I know, not just that, but like
sometimes
that's your gig, that's your vibe, that's your shit. That's right up your alley.
I love the blues, but all that shit is,
Yeah.
I fucking like, and to put those two things together is fucking amazing, and so to me, yeah, the Spider Hams of the world, I get it, and which is kind of this actually fits in with that Nicolas Cage is into the Spiderverse, and he's one of the alternate universe Spider-Mans, and he's awesome in it. He's great, and he did when he was in Kick-Ass, he was awesome in Kick-Ass, that part in there, right? And I kind of pan on Nicolas Cage a lot. I fucking give him a hard time. Break his balls because Con Air is possibly the worst movie I've ever made. You know how I hate this fucking movie. It's so ridiculous.
But it provides so many memes.
And he's made like 20 movies since 2011 that no one ever heard of, and they all suck. Like I counted them. He like 20 that are like all shit movies since 2011. They're like, what the fuck, Nicolas Cage? And in every one of them, his hair gets progressively worse, which is amazing that it can. Like it still has that in it. Like his hair at this point is proof that however bad it is, it can always be worse.
It's like the ever evolving hair. Like it's just like. He disappears. He comes back. I don't even know if these are real Nick Cages. Like these might be clones, and the clone but the DNA is starting to deteriorate. So we keep getting more fucked up versions of Nick Cage each time they produce it.
Maybe Picard came back in time, and they finally used the transporter, and they just kept killing the original Nicolas Cage all the time.
There you
go. But I was thinking about this though for a while. It really there is a tale of two Cages. There's the good Nicolas Cage, and then there's Con Air. But the truth is, though, he has and some of these are depending on your personal taste of him, if it's a good movie or not, right?
Sure.
But like he did Raising Arizona, Moonstruck. That's a great Moonstruck won the Academy Award, isn't it?
Yeah, or somebody won.
Somebody won from it.
Might have been Cher or something like that. Somebody won from it back then.
It's a great movie. Honeymoon in Vegas is awesome. You ever see Honeymoon in Vegas with James Caan?
Yeah, and it's still hot Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yep, the Flying Elvises.
Right.
Yeah, great movie. Leaving Las Vegas.
Right.
You ever see Leaving Las Vegas where he plays the alcoholic and choks himself to death?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That movie is sick. That movie is great. There's a part where he gives Elizabeth Shue these earrings. Yeah. And he says to her some shit like, I thought it was nice that you could think about me while the brothers are hitting you from behind. Or nailing you from behind.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, yeah.
That movie's great. The Rock. Now that depends on if you think that's a good movie or not, but it's at least entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining, absolutely.
Another one, Gone in 60 Seconds. Another one, if you think it's a good movie.
That was the car one, right?
The car one. I actually like that one.
Angelina Jolie was
a remake, too, right? Yeah, and it's a remake, I believe.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think that it is a remake.
So, then you ever see the movie Family Man? It's basically It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yeah, Family Man. That's with what's her name? Jesus, the Dave Duchovny's wife.
Tay Leone.
Tay Leone. Yeah. That's the one you're talking about, right? Yeah, I think that was good. Yeah.
It's
I
a good
like
movie.
that one. Yeah, I like that one.
Matchstick Men is a really good movie.
Yes, yes, I saw
That's
that
with
in the
Sam
movie
Rockwell.
theater. I saw
That's
that
a
in the
great movie. With
Yeah,
yeah, he's a con man.
right, right,
National Treasure is a great movie. The first one's
yeah,
great.
right.
those are pretty good.
The first one's really entertaining.
Yeah. The second one, you know
Uh,
what it is? It's they tried to recapture the. It's almost
Yeah.
like doing another Ocean's 11.
Right, right.
You know, like it's like you're never
Huh.
going to
Like,
recapture it because
it's kind of like Ocean's 12.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like you just took the hook of the movie without all the like charm and
Right, right.
character building and whatever. Like it was
It's
still entertaining.
Trying to go to the well a little once too often and realizing there's no water there left. You know.
I thought it was still entertaining. I thought the acting was still pretty decent in it, even though the movie itself was kind of hokey.
Sure, yeah.
I liked the chemistry that the three like main characters had. And what's his name as the president? I kind of liked. Like I like the scenes with Cage and the president.
Right, right.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, the first one was a great movie, really entertaining. You know, but they shit the bit when they fucking when they tried to do more. Sometimes just leave it as a that's what the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. The first one was a great movie. If they would have just left it at that and left it be, it would have been great. But then they made everyone afterward got progressively worse, bad. But you ever see the movie Weatherman?
That sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is.
He's a weatherman. He's like a depressed guy. It's just a fucking weird movie. It's fucking good though.
I don't remember that one.
Thaddeus, what were you going to say about fucking Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh, that was that time when everybody was trying to create like a trilogy or a Star Wars or a whatever. Like, right, Lord of the Rings had just hit its like popularity or whatever, right? And all these other things are like, oh, we can make a franchise, we can make more of these and more of these and more of these, and the studios just want to create these like 6-picture epic, whatever. And it's just like, look, I'm not saying it can't happen. And if you have a really good like, dude, I get it. Pirates was really big back then too, especially I mean, it helping it too. But Pirates was just big back then, so it was right up everybody's alley to begin with. But it's like, all right, so Will leaves from the first one and the thing, whatever. All right, so then you have the thing and this kid and the thing. All right, fine. But then it's this, and then it just turned into like monsters and monsoons and craziness and
all that is what gets us into the bad Cage. Like, because you like what you're talking about, like the Ghost Rider movies,
right?
Oh God, yeah.
Which were terrible. Dude, he made that movie Face Off with John Travolta, where they switched faces. They surgically removed their own faces and had it replaced with the other guy's face.
Yeah. Like one was like an ace, like whatever FBI agent, and the other was like a
master criminal. Right? Yeah, and they switched faces. I don't remember which one was the good guy, which one was the bad guy, and who switched to what. All I remember is that movie sucked balls.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Then he has Next and Knowing. One of them is like he knows the future. Okay. The other one is that like he can see what's going to happen like a minute before it does, or 7 minutes before it does, or some shit like that.
So like if a baseball is going to hit him, he knows to duck, but he can't fucking do anything with it.
Right. What a useless power. Just enough to drive you insane.
Yeah.
Then there's Bangkok Dangerous.
Oh God, I'm. I remember when that was made.
He's made some. I could go on. There's more of them. Like I said, he made 20 really shitty movies in the last 8 years, and nobody's ever heard of him. But like, and this is only a portion of the list. There's a shit ton of other movies between anywhere on the level between The Rock, say, and Con Air.
Right. There's there's a movie recently that he that I saw back in December, I think it was, or December, I think it was, and it's called Mandy. and it was like it had this big huge buzz because it was like kind of like more of a it was like a lower budget movie.
And the jerking off kids' faces.
Well, the fact that he was in it was like a huge deal. So I saw it, and he was actually kind of interesting in it. But the thing, you know, he was basically Nick Cage in it, you know, of course.
Mm.
So, but the thing is that it wasn't, you know, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people were telling me, "Oh, you got to see this movie. You got to see this movie," and like it created this buzz. And I'm like, okay, you know, I went with my friend. And it just wasn't for me, man. It's just so insane. It's so fucking insane. But,
that. I hate when people tell me you got to see this movie.
Yeah.
I hate that. You like, and especially because every time, oh, you got to see this movie. Like, I was dating this chick once. I was some blind date. I don't forget how the fuck I met her. And it was after the date because she was in love with me. I was really good first dates. So she was in love with me, and so like she said something about the movie Memento. That it was fantastic. I was like, fantastic. What the fuck used the word fantastic?
Is that the one where everything's in reverse or something?
It was like
he forgets. I like the movie.
He had to write all these. He had to write memos and post-it notes to remind himself of what to look for because he had no memory, so he had to figure out all the clues to find out what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, it was like long-term memory. Like he lost his every time he fell asleep, he lost all his memory again.
Right.
Like he knows who he is and his life up until a certain point, but then it's just like, you know, after a certain whatever accident or whatever happened, he cannot retain any memory after he falls asleep.
Right.
But it's a movie the first time you see, and it's a clever trick, but it's, you know, it's a storytelling trick. You know, okay, it was okay, you know, entertaining. But to go on about it, oh my god, oh, it was so great, it was fantastic, it was such an amazing movie. All right, it was okay, but now you made it like what the fuck it is, and I'm like, really? I fucking figured out what was going on like fucking halfway through.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so whenever anybody hypes things up, I try to downplay shit. I'm going to see Captain Marvel tomorrow, right? And take out all the political shit that people are talking about on it. You know, the people that reviewed it, honestly, when you read the reviews, are basically saying it's like a C-level movie. It's like a normal run-of-the-mill origin story. Okay,
right.
I'm going to like 11:30 show with the kids and taking the kids to see the movie, and if they go crazy, so what, right? But I'm already going in there figuring it's probably gonna be crap with some fucking some message that I probably don't want to hear. But I'm already going in with a low expectation, so whatever I get is already going to be pretty good.
So you might be pleasantly surprised, right? Yeah.
Right. You know, if people are telling me, "Oh, what a great movie," and I get in there and it's a bunch of bullshit, I'm like, "What the fuck, really? You're an asshole."
Yeah. I try to, when I go to see a movie, I try to, you know, I usually go alone these days because I don't want people to talk, really. I don't, you know, one of the coolest experiences I ever had, believe it or not, is I went to a matinee a few years ago. I went to see the Captain America Winter Soldier movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually really, really liked that movie. And the coolest thing was I was the only one in the theater because I went so early, and I actually went on Mother's Day. So I was going to see my mother later, but I had some time to kill. So I went at like 9 a.m. or something like that, whenever it was on. And I literally sat in the middle seat of this theater, and I watched the whole thing with my feet up, watching it, the entire theater to myself. It was one of the coolest experiences ever.
No noise.
And no noise, nobody talking, nobody sneezing, nobody doing anything. It was just me and this fucking gigantic movie screen. It was awesome. And it happened to be that I didn't have any expectation. You know, I had seen the first one. I didn't like it, but I figured, okay, you know, it's how bad could this one be? So I went there with absolutely no expectation, and it was great. It was absolutely great.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. So what do you think? Does Nick Cage suck?
Man, you know what I think it is. I think it's a like you said, it's a tale of two Nick Cages, right? The second Nick Cage is compromised by making some bad deals because I think he was so far in debt, right? He you know, because there was the
So what you're saying is leaving Las Vegas is a true story.
maybe because like there was a part in his life where he was spending so much money that he ended up being in debt. So I think he's doing a lot of these movies just to get out of debt. You know, I think he ended up doing
working man's actor now.
Yeah, because you know it's kind of like, you know, everybody's kind of taking advantage of him in a way because it's like, oh, we can get Nick Cage to do it because he needs the money.
Anything.
Yeah, because he needs the money, you know. So I don't know if he needs the money now anymore, but I know for a while he needed the money. So I know he was doing movie after movie where he was actually doing anything like Ghost Rider, you know. So
Ghost Rider, that's so bad.
Yeah.
And I want to like those movies.
Right.
I do have that. I do have that bias though. If I want to like a movie, I'll like it a little bit more. I'll give it a little bit more of a benefit of doubt,
right?
Because I want to like it.
You're rooting for it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's like how I feel with the Matrix movies. I liked the first one so much. I give the other two a pass because it finishes my story.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, those are other ones that got progressively worse. Like the second one wasn't bad. The second one is only bad because the third one is worse.
Yeah.
If the third one was better than 2, you could deal with a dip in 2, and I think that's why it always happens with the second one of a sequel, except for Star Wars. You could have a dip in 2 because if the third one it's actually better because 1 is 1. That's what brings them all in. That's what gets them into it, right? 2 is kind of a letdown. Oh, but you got them in because of the anticipation. But then the third one, because it doesn't even have to be as good as 1, but it will be viewed as if it's better because it's coming off the disappointment for 2, and just the difference is like, whoa, and it finishes it. So you know everybody like what's wrapped up.
Advantage of just
right.
home factor. You know?
Are you ready for this? As great of an experience as I had with the Captain America movie, one of the worst movie experiences I ever had was seeing the second and third Matrix back to back in the movie theater. They were showing 2 and 3 back to back, and I had seen 1 and I thought it was okay. You know, it was like, you know, it was kind of cool. There's some cool parts in it. You know, I get it. You know, Neo, I get it. He's the one. The whole thing. And so I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'll go see this. I went with my friends. I went with a packed fucking house, and they showed the second and the third one back to back, and I after the third one I wanted to hang myself because it was just like the worst fucking you know, it's just as good as the first one was. It was such a downhill spot, and I literally saw it in a matter of hours. I was able to see that slide all the way down, like watching the stock market crash. It was just like kind of watching this thing go, and there's nothing you can do about it. You want to stop it. You want to kind of stop the ride, but you can't do it.
You're stuck on the LAE. The fucking accident's on the other side.
Right.
Not even on your side of the fucking highway, but everybody's fucking watching it.
I'm trying to think of movies that are shit like that. That I forgive because I'm into it and I still like it. Like Thaddeus has his Matrix. He still likes it.
Yeah.
Right, man.
You know, I'm trying to think of ones that are like that are shitty like that I still like.
Right.
I mean, partially is 1, 2, and 3 for Star Wars because I still really like Episode 1. I don't care. I like that movie. The last 20 minutes of Episode 1 are great.
Right. Well, that's the thing is the Darth Maul thing. You know, it almost makes it worthwhile because you want to see that part. You know,
the Darth Maul fight at the end makes the whole shit fucking great.
Right. You know, But you take that out, and now
you left the theater hyped.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
Well, I was the first time I saw that movie. I was tripping balls. I walked out and fucking like you're in the movie experience, right? You're in the movie, and I walked out and the lights were on, and there's like a whole long line of fucking big packed crowd, and I thought they were there for me. I was like, yeah, what the fuck? What's up, people? Yeah. So maybe that's why I like episode 1 so much. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, that movie was great. But 2 was one of the episode 2 is in the running with Con Air for the worst movie ever made.
Right. I agree.
And yet 3 was still decent enough that again, you have a really shitty one, and 3 was okay because it was some cool shit.
Yeah.
And then now I like it again, even though 3 was really shitty too, actually. But
right.
But again,
so I guess
the whole Anakin Obi-Wan fight leading into, oh my god, you got to see how he literally became Vader, kind of thing. Like that's another thing that helps 3.
Right.
Cutting Dooku's head off.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was some fucking good shit in that.
Yeah. But you know what it is though too. The thing with Star Wars is kind of unique in that because of 4, 5, and 6. You have like in my situation, I like 4, 5, and 6 so much that 1, 2, and 3 just I can't give it its due, because it's it pales in comparison. So to me it's a different thing altogether.
Well, it is in the cultural sense too, though, because I mean there's not anything else that's 4, 5, and 6. It's just
Right. It's on such a pedestal. It's the pinnacle, right?
Now,
so
believe it or not, what might be, believe it or not, is Iron Man 1.
Right.
And the event, not in the order, but Iron Man 1 and the Avengers 1.
Right.
Because of the sheer depth of what they've built.
Right.
Not that any of those was on the level of a quality movie as 4, 5, or 6.
No.
But just based on what they led to.
Right. It's because it had the potential for so much after, right? Yeah.
Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is what we hoped the Star Wars universe would have been.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thaddeus, what are you thinking about over there with your Boba Fett shirt on?
Yeah. You actually see what it is? It's Django holding up Boba Fett.
Stand up a little so we see it.
Right, even that fucking 2. He gets his fucking Jango Fett gets his head cut off, and that's the second one that happens. That's the second one, because even that, the last 45 minutes, I mean, it wasn't good, but it was action with fucking Jedi's fucking.
Right.
Yeah, Jedi's are fighting and killing the insects and the battle droids, and there's the chaos of the war starting and Yoda showing up and.
Okay, see, you know what it is? This is what I feel about that. And this is why Star Wars is one of those movies that, like, 1, 2, or 3 are one of those things that I know sucks, but I fucking excuse it and like it anyway. Like in the 70s, they used to make fucking giant spiders eating everybody, and giant ants eating everybody, and giant rats eating everybody, right? I loved those movies growing up. That shit was the best, right? I like Voltron. The fucking Transformers when they form together. I used to have the Japanese toys, the giant robots, right?
Same here.
When I was growing up, they were some of the coolest shit in the world. So they have these specific movies that are cheesy, shitty movies, but it's giant robots fighting giant monsters, and it's the best, and destroying fucking Tokyo and destroying all these fucking Asian cities.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's the best. I fucking love like a Godzilla. I fucking grew up watching Godzilla movies, destroy all monsters, then fucking giant monsters fighting each other, fucking destroying cities.
Same here.
I love that shit.
How fucking cool is Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla? Back in the day. It was the shit.
Destroy all monsters with Godzilla and Ultraman, fucking taking them all on.
Yeah. one of those old school movies that's one of my guilty pleasures was Clash of the Titans.
Fucking, I love that shit.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
But there are some fucking cheesy things. There's some fucking Like I'm not even talking about like Bruce Campbell stuff that's cheesy on
Yeah,
purpose,
like
like
Army of
Campbell.
Darkness.
Right. I'm not even talking about that stuff because that's meant to be crappy.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the ones that aren't meant to be crappy that are, but because it's the kind of shit that you like, you fucking forgive it anyway. Fuck, man. Anything with Rucker Hauer. Dude, I fucking love Rucker Hauer.
He's awesome. He was also in Batman Begins. Let's not, hey. he played a role in that.
Yeah, that's how I am with like Kevin Smith movies.
Oh, that's true.
Even the bad ones, I think, are pretty good.
They're pretty good, yeah.
But the truth is that yeah, Kevin Smith is another one. His movies aren't. None of them are particularly good.
Right, but they're fun. It has a special area, in your heart.
I think that he does exactly what he sets out to do, though.
Exactly.
And because a lot of it is fanboy stuff. A lot of it is connecting to other fans of the same stuff that he's we've talked about this. For me, my motivation as a writer is not making money. Although I with what Scott and I are trying to do right now, I see what it could be, and that creative part of this is what we made is cool. To me, the best part of watching movies, the best part of a good movie, the best part of a good concert, the best part of a fucking a great night out, the best part of a book, is when you get to share it with other people that were there, that read it, that saw the movie, that that part was awesome, yeah, that we were into the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lord of the Rings movies. Like I grew up reading Tolkien stuff, and then to see those movies with my friends who are the ones that told me to start reading the Tolkien stuff is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the kind of shit that I'm into it for. I don't remember how I fucking got started out of that. There you
just
have
off
it.
the rails again. But
It was
yeah,
porn.
yeah. But especially with like those things that we feel like shape our childhood, right? Like especially you talking about like the Transformers and Voltron and stuff. Like Voltron was one of my absolute all-time favorite shows back then. Like I like G.I. Joe. Transformers was really cool. Remember even like GoBots.
Yeah, GoBots.
Yeah, they were like the knockoff brand of fucking Transformers.
Yeah.
But like again, like they weren't as cool. But I had a few of them. They had a couple that I liked. The show was okay. You know what? When Transformers wasn't on, I'd rather watch fucking GoBots than fucking, the news. So
right. And the toys are probably worth more because they're rare.
Yeah, right.
So
yo, you don't even know, man. Like my kids like Legos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Duplos.
Dude, you should get them. You should get them Lego Voltron. I just saw it the other day.
Oh shit.
Last night I saw it at Barnes and Noble. Fucking Lego Voltron. Lego Voltron.
They're not,
I was like, holy shit. Holy shit.
They're not up to that yet. It would be destroyed and I would kill somebody. So they're not up to that.
Legos are getting fucking super expensive.
But, you know what's worse, man? Duplo, right? Like it's not just that. I've talked about the little stupid little figures my son likes that he plays with all the time. They after a while they stopped making them, right? And then figures that were like $4 each are like $80 online. You can get them on Amazon, but they're like $80. It's crazy for like little kids to us. Kids for a 3-year-old. It's nuts. So then my kids are into Legos, and he gets the Duplo ones. The Duplo are the ones for 2 to 4-year-olds. 2 to 4-year-olds. He has the Duplo Spider-Man now, but he's been watching these fucking YouTube videos with Duplo Batman.
Yeah.
The Duplo Batman, they don't make them now. That was like last year's product or 2 years ago's product, right? So if you want the Duplo Batman, it's like $120 fucking bucks for a little fucking box of like 30 pieces. Are you fucking kidding me? They're like $4 a Lego.
Man,
Like what the fuck? And you know, like kids' toys.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
It's a crazy market.
last subject here. Last subject. Tomorrow's opening day. Baseball.
It is.
Fantastic.
Although technically opening day was like last week in that Tokyo.
Right, in
series.
Japan, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your predictions? What are you thinking about baseball this season?
I'm excited it's back. Mets just inked up Syndergaard have
Well,
merged.
you know, it's interesting. They're an interesting team.
Yeah, they are.
Who, the
I've
Mets?
said it. Yeah, I've said it before.
Interesting.
I've said it before about them.
Terrible.
Huh?
I usually use terrible, not interesting.
No, because they are interesting because they have the best pitcher in baseball, DeGrom, and they just like inked him up. Syndergaard has an ERA of like 2.37. His problem is that like he can't stay on the field, and that's partially because how he. Right. So they have to learn to protect him. They have to get him, time off to protect him for the playoffs, right? But they got to make the playoffs. But Wheeler has been good for them. Their starting pitching is great. They went out and got a really good young closer. I don't know that they have enough. They re-signed what's his face, Familia.
Right. Yeah.
The pitching should not be,
especially in the National League. Their pitching is, their bullpen is good enough. Their starters are great. Their pitching is fucking. Their pitching can get them into the playoffs.
Yeah, but their lineup can be navigated. That's the thing, is you can navigate around that lineup and get some easy outs and walk the guys that you need to walk, and you can beat DeGrom 1-0, on a regular basis.
All right, but they improved
that team.
So their first baseman is what? Their first baseman is a rookie, no matter what, or a secondary guy, no matter right. Who made the roster? Smith or is it? So
Alonso made the roster, so I'm assuming he's going to start.
It's Alonso. All right, so that's a rookie. Okay, so you have, but he could be good though. You don't know. So, but most likely not. Cano, they upgraded at second base. Cano's a good ball.
Absolutely, he is. He's lazy sometimes, but he's a good ball player.
I just worry with PEDs and all that kind of stuff. Like how much of him staying healthy was from those PEDs? Like, is he the next fucking Roberto Alomar for us?
Well, that's true. Well, let's see what happens.
He's every bit as talented, but he's just going back from his time with the Yanks. He's got a head. He's got a big head sometimes, and
yeah, sure.
You know where it doesn't matter though. You know where it doesn't matter. Whatever he is, he's a major upgrade over what they had last year.
Absolutely, he can turn on a fastball. He can turn on a fastball with the best on.
The one thing that worries me though is one of the kids that they have coming up is McNeil, and second base is his natural position, and I'd be fine. Okay, let him play third, but at least before he got hurt or whatever, they were talking about keeping Todd Frazier either at third or first. And
all right, well, there's two things.
He's not going to play first.
There's two things with that. From a value perspective, nowadays they want guys that can play multiple positions. Look at how many guys, like the Yankees have a problem with Voit and Bird because they're both major league hitters. They're both major league mashers. But they both are first basemen and they can't play anywhere else. They can't do anything else but play first base at DH. And in today's game, that's especially for young guys, that's hard. So you want guys to move around and play different positions. It gives them more value. It gives you different things you can do in the game.
And I'm fine with McNeil playing whatever position it is, as long as he's playing.
The second thing is this. What is this guy's upside?
McNeil?
Right. Are we talking because
he hits for average, he's got some decent power, he's an plus fielder.
Okay. Well, plus fielder, you gotta be. If you are not hitting 30 home runs a year or 25 home runs a year, if you're not a 25 home a year guy, you're not a 8,500 RBI guy, and you're not a 400 on base percentage guy. Well, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Voit, like Bird. The reason why the Yankees keep giving Bird all these shots is because he came up as a guy that they thought was going to hit fucking 335 home runs,
Yeah.
and even last year when he sucked, he still hit 13 home runs.
His potential is through the roof.
Right. He could potentially be the best guy of all of them.
Yeah.
Like Gary Sanchez, everybody wanted Gary Sanchez. They knew exactly who he was.
Mhm.
Severino, they knew Severino was an ace. Aaron Judge, they knew, this guy's a monster. They knew. Gleyber Torres, they knew. These are surefire guys.
Mhm.
Is this McNeil guy, is he on that level? And if he's not on that level, then you need Robinson Cano there for at least a year or two to bring some legitimacy to the team, to tell their pitchers, to tell DeGrom, the best pitcher in baseball, no, resign with us. Look, we're going to go get this guy Cano. If you say, no, we're not going to go Cano, we're going to lean on...
The deal wasn't really about going and getting Cano. The deal was about getting Diaz, and we took on Cano's contract as...
Well, yeah, absolutely. But the guy's still going to hit... He's still going to hit 280 and hit 25 home runs.
I can totally see Met fans falling in love with Cano. Honestly,
and if he hits 285 to 300, 20 to 30 home runs, I'll even say like 75 to 100 RBIs.
And so, how many games a year? How many interleague games do they play a year?
I don't know. They keep changing it.
Every interleague game that they play in every interleague game they play in American League Park, McNeil plays second, Cano DHs.
Yeah. Yeah,
every you spell him in the season, get him where he's playing second and Cano is taking a rest because Cano is old. Get him through the season to the playoffs.
Yeah. But I think
you get him 40 games.
McNeil might have a shot at third because Frazier's been hurt. But
Frazier, look, Frazier's a guy that for half the season gives your team a boost because everybody loves playing with him.
Yeah,
but he's not. They've figured him out, and he can't. He's not a Frazier's not a ball player anymore.
He was a guy that it wasn't like he came up as some hot shot rookie. Like he was around for a few years. He hit his peak, right? Like they say, like a lot of times hitters sometimes they don't necessarily click early. They click a little later, and then they become monsters, right?
Right.
This was a guy that in that time he peaked. He was hitting 30 home runs. He was stealing bases, but he's been on a steady decline, and injuries have. If
you look at statistics a lot, right? I spend a lot of time looking at stats. If you look at guys' stats, especially like BaseballReference.com is really good for it because if you throw it up on your screen and you see all the seasons in a row and like what their numbers are in comparison, most guys' peaks are 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And
everything else is fringe. Everything else is okay. They're a serviceable player at that position, and 3 to 5 years they were really good.
And that's like all-star level players.
Right. Like Frazier had a 3-year peak, and then he fell off a table.
Yeah.
Precipitous drop.
Huge.
But he's also injuries.
There, which you can deal with if he's still hitting 25, 30 home runs. But the power's not there. He's not hitting for average. Like when you lose all three things that made you the quote unquote the star that you are, and you lose all three of them.
Yeah, a lot of guys aren't hitting for average anymore.
Well, that's the shift is part
of the problem too. But
that's how the game has changed.
230
they have so much data. They have so much data on exactly where you hit the ball and your percentages, and they put fielders right in the spot where you hit.
Yeah.
And because the game was always the thing is, what's funny is that they've started playing defense in baseball the way that defensive coordinators play defense in football.
Football,
yeah.
Like as a pitcher, right? I know, and this is just fast-paced softball, and Walt was my catcher, so like we think the same. When it comes to this, like I know there's certain hitters that come up, and depending on how their stance is, I know what they can do with a ball in a certain spot.
Yeah,
right.
So I know like they're weak low and in. Can I beat them up high? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I know exactly based on how their swing is where I could put the ball. So like the first time the lineup, like especially sometimes you waste one, you throw a ball on purpose just to see what the hell they'll do. What their swing looks like. But you could pound that area in certain ways, where I can get the result that I want. So I can, if I have a good player that day, or if I have a player that day that isn't that good at a position, I can make sure that the ball isn't put in a place where they're going to have a good chance of putting it there.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
Now that's with softball at 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Baseball at 95, right? Where you can't even see the fucking thing. You're swinging at a blur.
Yeah.
Right? So you're swinging at a blur in a spot with movement aimed at making you hit the ball a certain particular way. And all the fielders are stuck, based on how you swing the bat. And all the fielders are put right where you have the only chance you can hit it. Those places where there's no fielders, because you have no chance to hit the ball there. You can't do it.
Yeah.
They know you can't do it. And that's
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Guys,
and we've lost the art of the adjustment, I think. It's like, see, right, like you were talking about with football, right? Football coordinators. Football's evolving and changing every 2 to 3 years. We see trends pop up, right? The big thing is, big defensive linemen up the middle. Then it's, safeties that hit hard. Then it's, a quarterback that can fling it around and you go widespread. Then it's, you have to, have a great offensive line and pound the ball up the middle. Like, there's all these different trends on what wins and all that kind of stuff. And usually it's just a reactionary thing, right? But the ebb and flow is a lot faster in football. There's only 16 games a season. Every season, there's quicker turnarounds. Teams can go from worst to first in football easier than in any other sport, right? Baseball is reactionary, but it's fucking molasses. So it's like now this, but they overcompensate. It just keeps going in one direction. It doesn't ebb, it doesn't flow. It's just this slow moving glacier that's just it changes stuff around it, but really slowly.
Yeah, with baseball, there's a couple of things that changed it fundamentally. One was actually Joe Madden. He's the one who started doing the shifts. And that comes out of analytics, which comes from Moneyball. So it's still Moneyball that changed the whole Madden thing and what made the shifts possible.
Yeah,
if you can only do one thing,
Moneyball,
if you can only do one thing, what is the thing and we can only afford to pay for one tool instead of 5 tools? What is the tool that's most valuable?
Yeah.
And that we can get the most return on investment for, essentially. And then how do we cater the whole team around a particular tool set and change the game that way? And the shifts that they come out of that school of thinking. That's how they come from.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say similar to like even just like if you do like those auction fantasy baseball or football or whatever, like you have this certain amount of money. Now, do you go hard and get a couple of big, huge stars and then just pick up whatever crap you can to fill it up? And yeah, you have some exciting stuff up top, right? But you don't have the things that you need down below because you just didn't have the money. Or do you let everybody get the $40 and $50 and $60 players, and then you get the $20 guy that you know is going to do that for you? And you get that, $17 guy, and he fits that. And you're like, all right, I need steals. Well, this guy's only $5 and he gets me lots of steals. And then at the end, you're like, okay, so I have all these bases covered. Now I go and I get my megastar that does everything, and I pay that guy.
Now, you could do that. You could absolutely do that, but it also has to be the guy. They have to actually fit their role. They have to play that role.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Everything has to go right. They have to have health, and they have to come together as a team where they like each other, where they like playing together. They like doing those things for each other, because you can play on the team with the best guys, and all they look for stats, and they don't play the team game, so they don't sacrifice for the team. They don't win, and that happens in football a lot, where they fucking just go and buy free agents. That's what happens. That's what happened to the Mets. That's
in the early '90s, right? 91, 92, or whatever it was.
The worst team, the '93 season, the worst team money could buy.
Yep.
Yeah, the Bobby Bonilla year.
Bobby Bonilla, Vince Cole.
Bonilla, they had Coleman, they had Saberhagen, they had all these guys. Yeah. Amazing,
why
really.
That's why the Yankees right now, currently, right? They had that in the '90s. You know, it was amazingly enough. It was actually the run, the Don Mattingly playoff run in '95. That fucking the last 20 something games where they fucking went crazy, you know, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they went. I think it was 27-7 or something like that, or 26-7. Yeah,
and then the disappointing way they lost in the playoffs, right?
yeah.
So the group that you had that still carried that over, and then the young kids you brought up who wound up all being fucking Hall of Famers or borderline Hall of Famers.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that mix where that room is what that room is, you know, is changed. Now the Yankees 2017 had that written. Now Todd Frazier was a big part of that though, but they had that room exactly like that in 2017, and they all pulled for each other. They didn't quite have that in 2018. The whole season, they didn't have that same feel.
Correct.
And they won 100 games.
Yeah.
They won 100 games, and they got better.
Yeah.
LeMahieu's an upgrade over Todd Walker or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Andujar and Torres, after a full season, after the rookie years, are going to be better.
Yeah.
Voit and Bird now are an upgrade over Chris Carter and Bird last year.
Totally.
You know?
Assuming, again, if Bird can stay healthy. Because that's
right.
He's got the same thing.
Sure.
But even if he doesn't, Voit seems legit.
Oh, yeah,
Voit seems legit. You know?
And see,
Stan's going to be better.
And that's where everybody... So this philosophy, right? So I have an interesting perspective of it, being a New Yorker, but being the Met fan, right? The redheaded stepchild of you guys, right?
It's okay. Don't worry. We'll let you talk at the adult table.
I think. Whereas, like, the outsiders that don't like the Yankees, right? The Yankee haters from the outside look at the Yankees and they go, "Oh, they just bought everything." They look at the payroll number and they look at the this and they look at the that. And yes, the numbers are what they are. They spent that money and all that kind of stuff. But the core of that team and the reason it won was because of the Yankees were able to pull off the the fantasy auction strategy where you fill the biggest gaps with the guys, right? With the young guys that don't cost.
Homegrown talent.
Homegrown talent. Bernie. First off, look at this too. Bernie Williams in center, Derek Jeter at short, and Jorge Posada at catcher. What do they always talk about in baseball?
Up the middle.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Those three guys, you can't get much stronger. Can you think of a better up the middle duo that was homegrown, like in the history of baseball?
See, well, that's the thing. Homegrown makes it a little harder because even the great Yankee teams, they weren't homegrown. Fucking the fucking St. Louis Browns would have a guy who was a fucking great ball player, and they couldn't afford to keep him, so the Yankees would buy them, and that's how they fucking So that they've always been the way. But at least in modern times, what the idea that the Yankees buy their championships is a joke because it's the right free agent at the right time with people they already had there, and that's always been the way. They've never actually won when they signed the most expensive guys. They've never actually won like that. It's never happened.
Well, you know, here's the thing though. They did spend that money, but you know what it was? It was to overpay for the guys they wanted, right?
Wells, when they signed Wells, he was coming off like a 4 ERA.
Yeah, he had an off year. Yeah.
He had a bad year in '96.
I think it was he had issues with the back. I think that year, and that's what.
But he was never on the Randy Johnson level, and even when they paid Randy Johnson, he wasn't Randy Johnson anymore. But Wells was a smart signing at the time, and to replace Jimmy Key.
And Jimmy Key, exactly.
And also too, they spent a lot of money in the places that other teams don't or can't spend. Right? They had great bench players. Right? They had good middle relievers.
That's the thing. There's that twofold thing. One is that they could afford to pay bench players.
Yeah, exactly.
Teams couldn't afford to pay them. The
Yeah.
other thing is that they were the NBA super teams before the NBA super teams. You know how like LeBron goes to a team and they have a bunch of guys. So then all the vets who haven't won a championship take the minimum salary to go play for them because they're gonna guarantee a shot to get the belt.
Absolutely.
You had guys like Chili Davis. Fucking Rock. Fucking Tim Raines.
Yep.
Darryl Strawberry at the end on the slope. Guys that were like stars at one point that were like on the slope but still had something to give.
Yeah,
right.
Would come and be a bench guy because the Yankees had a shot. It's like
a bunch of them, and if 3 of them didn't work out, it's okay because we got 7 of them.
Yeah,
right.
And depth, total depth.
Yeah, and that's where most of the money went, was all that depth. And yeah, 1 or 2 guys that they paid a lot of money to, and they were like, you know what, this isn't working out. So they were, you know what?
El Duque was actually offered more money from other teams than the Yankees offered.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I would rather be the tail of a lion than the head of a mouse.
There you go.
That's why he chose the Yankees. It had nothing to do with the money that they paid him. It had everything to do with being a Yankee because he knew that he was going to have a chance to win championships.
And by the way, how big was little Homer Bush in the 98 season?
Yeah, I know.
Homer Bush. A lot of people forget about him, but he was huge.
Yeah.
He was huge.
People forget about him because he was
having that kind of depth of money allowed you to have depth of team.
Bush was a call up though. He was a prospect.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying, but like to have all these guys, to have the depth where it's like, you know what, this guy got hurt, this guy pulled a hamstring, this guy did this, whatever, and it didn't matter.
Well, it's the same thing with steroids. Steroids don't make you stronger. What steroids do is you recover faster. Yes. So tomorrow you don't hurt, so you can lift weights again, and that's what makes you stronger. Is that you could do double sessions at the same time that I could do single sessions because you're recovering quicker, and that's a big part of it. That's where depth matters. But then things like Clemens, right? How did we get Clemens? We traded Graham Lloyd, Homer Bush, who was our top prospect, and Wells, who was our best pitcher, to the Blue Jays for Clemens. That's how we got Clemens.
Yeah.
None of them panned out for Toronto the way that fucking Clemens panned out for us.
Wells was done. Yeah. Wells, Wells caught the, whether you want to call it fountain of youth or lightning in a bottle or whatever, but Wells put on that uniform, and all of a sudden, he wasn't mouthing off as much. His back didn't hurt. He was pitching lights out, right? Right before that, he had issues. Right after that, he had issues.
Well, he came back to us and pitched and had to leave a World Series game because of his back.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was relatively. I mean, after he left the Yankees, the back he had 1-2 seasons that he pitched relatively full and confident.
Yeah.
Fired soon after that.
So we're getting on late here. So just before we go, what are your predictions for the season?
I think the Yanks are better. I think they'll make the playoffs. We'll see what happens, but I like what I see. And I think we were talking about Tanaka. We were texting back and forth a couple of weeks ago about pitching and spin rates and all that. And I think I think Tanaka gets hurt only when he throws a slider. So. Throw it in spots, and
he leaves his four seam up and over. He used to do it in Japan all the time, and he would get away with it because they couldn't hit 94 in Japan. But here, 94 is cheese to do here. The fucking up and out. So if he's not getting that split finger over, and then he lays in with those lazy fucking fastballs. That's the fastball. Yeah. And what's a slider? What's a slider but a spinning fucking?
Right, exactly. He even when his split doesn't split, nobody can no one's gonna hit it. But it's really when you look at the statistics, it's the slider that hurts him.
And that's why you see he would go through stretches where he was getting his splitter over, and he'd have 3 or 4 starts in a row that his line looked something like 7 or 8 innings, 6 to 10 strikeouts, 1 to 2 runs allowed.
Yep.
A few hits, almost no walks.
Yeah.
He gets up no base runner.
3 starts in a row where he'd get shelled for like 5 runs in 3 innings.
Yeah.
Well, the guy, even then, he like the guy doesn't give up base runners, but he gives up like 3 home runs a game.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a lot. I've always liked him. I think he does everything right, except throwing the slider. But
that's the home run.
That's what it is. And let that be the worst thing that happens. I like that he's starting again. He's the opening day starter. I like that. Having said that, Severino is the ace if he can, basically pace himself. I think he kind of threw himself out by throwing 8 innings every start in the beginning of the season last season. So right around July and August, he was pretty much done. He was pretty much the best pitcher in the American League until about August. So
a little after the All-Star break somewhere.
Yeah. So and he's a young guy who got tired, but like, I have a lot of high hopes for that for those 2 guys, and I think if they if they have a good season, we're gonna be good in the playoffs.
I think that's
because the lineup's gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna hit a ton of home runs, and
I think that Gio Gonzalez signing is actually gonna be pretty big,
right?
Which I don't ever agree. I can't stand this 13 pitcher staff thing where you're fucking short your fucking bench. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why you can't have Voit and Bird up at the same time. You have a lefty righty fucking mashing combination. You have a bench off of either side of the plate. Late in the game, like
they're worried about their starting pitcher.
Like, it drives me nuts that this thing with the lefty righty platoon at the end of games to counteract the other teams. It drives me nuts that that's not a thing anymore.
Right.
But if you're gonna have 13 pitchers, you might as well have Gio Gonzalez on the staff, and having him picking up games in between so that fucking Tanaka can get a rest, Severino can get a rest, Happ was
almost like a 6-man rotation.
Rest. Almost like a 6-man rotation.
Once in a while when off days work.
Like a 5.5-man rotation.
Exactly. Especially in New York, because April we're gonna get a shitload of rainouts.
Yep.
So you need that at the end in August when they do all the double headers. You're gonna need these guys to be rested. You're gonna need 6-7-man rotation on those weeks.
And even if it's not a bunch of double headers, it's gonna be. Like, oh, you were going to originally have Monday off, but now you can't because that's the only off day you and this team have for the next 3 years.
Right.
And you're going every night.
Yeah. I think
it's one of the things I wanted the Mets to implement. Was it, I guess, 2 years ago when Harvey was first coming back and all that kind of stuff? Because you had Harvey on some kind of innings limit, depending on who you believe, right? You have these other young pitchers that are coming up, right? DeGrom is still pretty young. Syndergaard is new. Wheeler's coming off of an injury. Like, if healthy and prime production, that could have been the best staff like baseball has ever seen. But the reason why we only talk about the best that we've ever seen every so often is because usually things like that don't pan out. There are people that don't capitalize on hype or don't follow up a good rookie year with a good sophomore year or something.
Right. That's why the Yankees, and this is why I still go crazy about fucking them not signing Harper or Machado or even both, because percentage of payroll, we're like 12th in the league or something like that, percentage of payroll. We like Boston spends 49% of their fucking payroll on revenue the 49% of the revenue on payroll. We spend like 31. So the Yankees don't spend the money that they make back in the team like other teams do. They actually spend a lot less on payroll than everyone else as compared to what they make. So the fans are actually flipping a big bill for the Yankees and not getting put back into the product.
Yeah, it's a different era, man. The Steinbrenner sons, they're
it's different. Trying to undo what their father did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not
Too
that
much of
not
their
that they
heritage
needed
or something.
not that they needed Machado or Harper, right? But like right now they're in a position where if everything falls right, if they are healthy in August, from August till the end of the season, they're going to win the World Series. They don't have to be healthy in the beginning, but if from like mid-August until the end of because you need that time to get to play together and be playing good baseball, right? The team that's playing the best baseball when the playoffs start is the team that wins the World Series.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah.
So you have to be playing your best baseball for like 6 weeks beforehand. So you're looking at mid August is where you got to turn it on, right? If they're healthy at that point to the end of the season, they'll win the World Series. But that's the biggest if there is in sports, isn't there?
Yeah.
When you have a chance to go get Harper and Machado, who are 26, and you can guarantee that it doesn't matter if we're healthy because we're going to kill you anyway. We're going to score 10 runs a game if we're healthy or not. It doesn't matter if you're striking everybody out because it only takes one of us, and 1 through 9 we can fucking kill you.
Yeah.
You step on people's throats when you have a chance to. You have small windows to win championships. You have 5-year windows. Take the time, do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done the Harper thing, just because you already have the albatross of Stan.
I wanted Harper, not Machado.
Yeah.
I wanted Harper. I wanted that lefty swing in Yankee Stadium.
They must have really hated his attitude.
I get you, but yeah, the Harper ego thing. I don't know how Machado played. And
Machado's going to bomb. Machado's going to bomb in San Diego. That's a pitcher's park, and his splits outside of Baltimore are not good. He's a major league average ball player outside of Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he went to San Diego. To be honest,
yeah, it's not going to be a good move. He's going to bomb on that contract.
Yeah, I mean, if your goal was to get paid, and you look at it as you're living in one of the nicest cities in the world and all that kind of stuff, and winning doesn't matter to you, okay,
Mike Trout. If you're going to waste your career in Anaheim, you might as well get paid.
There is a piece of me that does appreciate his dedication and his loyalty to he wants to be one of those guys that goes down in history as he played his entire career with one team, kind of thing.
Right.
I get that. On that note, though, fellas, it's midnight now.
Oh yeah, sure.
Time to go. Any last words?
I think the AL East, just in closing, I think the AL East title is the Eastern title, the American League title, which is the World Series.
Yeah,
I think Boston and the Yankees are the two best teams in baseball. Period. Dodgers are cute. There's a couple other teams that are cute in both leagues, but I mean, I'm not saying that it's a shoe-in. One of those is winning the World Series, but especially right now, they're the two odds-on favorites.
It's the hardest division to win, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, folks, check us out on SoundCloud and YouTube, Mad Team See the Garage, and buy my books on Amazon, Mad Dose Presents. And have a good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching.